Hey, welcome to another episode of Talk Business with Audrey. I'm your host, Audrey Bell Kearney, and today I'm going to be talking about how to leverage podcasting to help you grow your business. It is a great way to get the information out there. So we're going to be talking about 3 ways that you can do that right after this introduction. Welcome back. You almost caught me off guard there, multitasking. Listen, hope you had a wonderful holiday. I just wanted to drop in today and talk about how to leverage podcasting to help you grow your business. So I've been podcasting since about 2000 and probably 8 or 9. It's been a minute. And when I first started, podcasting was just this thing that we kind of did kind of for a hobby. But over the years, it has grown into a multi-billion-dollar industry that allows us as entrepreneurs to share platforms around the world to share our message and our mission. So today I want to talk about 3 ways that you can leverage podcasting to help you grow your business. Now, I podcast 4 days a week live. I host a show called Good Morning Gwinnett Live. And so the show is basically about Gwinnett County, which is where I live in Georgia. And so I've been doing that since 2013. That is my full-time thing. I do that on a regular basis. I have a whole news site around Good Morning Gwinnett. But my podcast, I do 4 days a week live, Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. Now, one of the great things about podcasting is that it allows you to get your message out to the world in a very inexpensive and affordable way. And also, to me, it's pretty simple. Now, I know there are some people who have a real rough time trying to figure out, how to actually podcast and how to leverage podcasting. But for me, and I guess for me, it's kind of simple because I actually really like doing podcasts. So it's never a big thing for me. So, but for those of you who are saying, Audrey, I don't want to start a podcast. I don't know what to podcast about. I'm going to talk about some things that you can do to leverage podcasting to help you grow your business. So the first thing I want to talk about is being a guest on other people's podcasts. Even if you don't want to start a podcast, there are ways for you to actually become a guest on other people's podcasts. And once you are a guest, they're going to put you in front of their audience. Now, here's the thing. If you've never done a podcast before, you may want to kind of listen to their show, see what they talk about, make sure that you're pitching the right person, because sometimes you can just say, I'm going to pitch some people, but it's actually the wrong audience. So you don't want to just pitch anybody. You want to find people that talk to people that you want to reach. And what happens is if they find that you could be possibly a good guest for their audience, they will invite you to come onto their show and be a good guest. Now, I will tell you, I've been doing this a very long time, and I've interviewed some amazing people, but I've also interviewed some pretty not so amazing people. So you want to look at the interviews of the podcast hosts that they've done, see the guests that they've had on there, kind of not, I'm not going to say mimic what they've done, but just make sure that when you pitch them, it's the right host with the right show. Two, that you can stand on your own. Now, I know that some people want to send me questions so I can be prepared. I don't send questions to my guests. Sorry. And I've had people who won't do my show because I don't send questions. My thing is this, it's always this. If you know what you say you should be a good guest. Now, not everybody that knows what they know is a good guest, because not everybody has that personality to be on the microphone. I'm just keeping it real. Not everybody. I had a young lady. She's a tech genius. But when I tell you, as far as a person to be interviewed, that was the hardest interview I've ever done, because it was like pulling teeth. It was like she knew her stuff, and but there was no conversation. So I'm a conversationalist, right? When I do my show, I like to have conversations with people. I like for them to feel at home. I like for them to feel at ease. So it's a conversation. I don't send out questions before the show, because my thought process is, if you say you know how to do apps, then you know how to do apps. So if I ask you a question about, using React or using JavaScript or using Python to create these mobile apps or whatever, JS nodes or whatever it is, if that's what you do, you should be able to answer my questions. So I take your bio and I look at the bio of the person that I'm interviewing. I read their bios. I go do a little digging on their social media, and I form my questions. So if you know what you say, you should be fine. Now, if you know that you are really shy and you're that person that people got to pull teeth, then that just may not be the platform for you. Like podcasting may not be the platform. You might just, submit a press release to the media and to some bloggers and let them write about you, because I can tell you that if you go on someone's show and you're a bad guest, 9 times out of 10, they would never ask you back. And here's the thing, there's a lot of us in the podcast space. We will look at that interview and be like, "Ooh, I would never have that person on my show." So you want to make sure that you know what you say you know, and you want to make sure that you have the personality. I'm going to tell you, like, if it's not a video podcast, if it's all audio, you don't have to worry about being on camera, then that's, do your best. But if you're camera shy, if you're going to sit there like this and look around like this, don't do that to the host. Don't do that to the host, because they're not going to be happy with that, right? So don't do that to the host. So think about shows that you would like to be a guest on. Think about the audience that the host may have that will fit your product or service perfectly, and pitch them on being a guest. Now, when you pitch them, you don't want to just say, "Have me on your show because I'm a great guest." You want to say, "Listen, this is the value that I can bring to your audience because I know this, this, and this." Right? If someone said to me, "Audrey, what can you bring to my audience?" I can say, "Well, you know what? I can show your audience how to create an Amazon Alexa. So when people are in the bathroom taking a shower, they can say, 'Alexa, play Good Morning Gwinnett' on the Alexa, and it'll play." I could do that because I've done that. My podcast is on Amazon Alexa under the Good Morning Gwinnett brand, not somebody else's brand. So if there is, that host say, "You know what, my audience would love that. They would find that very intriguing. They would find it very helpful to help them grow their business. Let's do it. Come on the show," right? So you got to bring some value to the host. If the host thinks that all you're trying to do is come on their show and sell something, you won't get a call back. You won't get a call back. And trust me, they're going to go and they're going to do some research on you. So if I'm going to tell you right now, if you got a raggedy website, I'm just keeping it real, because this show's about keeping it real. No fluff here, baby. No fluff. If your website is raggedy, you got broken links, we can't find you. I get to your site, this site is not, protected. They won't even stick around to look at the site. They're like, "You know what? Someone emailed me the other day, right? They were pitching me on some kind of something, marketing or something. It was something. So I was like, let me go check out the website. There is no website. Like, how you gonna help me do anything? And when I go to your website, because it's in your bio, it's in your signature and your email, there is no website. So I emailed them back, "You don't have a website," right? Because you're pitching me on helping me and you don't even have a website. So people are going to Google you. Just know that. So make sure your website is nice. Make sure it's up to date and all that good stuff. And I get it. We're busy. I'm busy. So sometimes I have to make sure I go in there and look at my site and make sure it's stuff because I have some stuff on my Good Morning Gwinnett site. I'm sure it's really old, but it's at the very bottom. All my most recent stuff is at the very top, because there's nothing that happened at the very bottom that I need to really worry about at the moment. So, but I try to make sure that the site is up to date. That's what you have to do. Make sure your site is up to date. Make sure that your pictures are good. They say send high resolution pictures. Normally they want high resolution pictures. Don't send bull crap, because now they're going to put that out there for the world to see. So if you don't send them high resolution pictures and they say, "Well, I need a picture." I had a guy reach out to me last year. I think it was last year. He reached out to me on LinkedIn, right? Because I do a lot of podcasting. I do a lot of videos. So he reached out to me on LinkedIn and he said, he sent me his resume, which was very impressive. He wanted to be on my show. And I'm thinking, okay, he has a really impressive resume. So the person that was booking all my guests, she sent back, say, "Hey, I need your headshot, your bio, some other stuff, sign off on this." You had to sign off that it's okay for me to do this interview with you. Well, he got totally upset. He didn't want to send a bio. He didn't want to send a headshot. He didn't want to send anything. He said we was going to steal his intellectual property by him being on the show. No, and then he said, "I need to vet the people shows that I'm going to be on." And I was like, yeah, we need to vet the people that we're going to have on the show better. Like, because I thought that was crazy. So when they say send a bio, don't send a paragraph unless that's the extent of your bio, which if that's the extent, probably going to be very impressive. If they say send a headshot, a high resolution headshot, send a headshot. Don't send something on an old 2012 iPhone. I don't even know if iPhone was out in 2012. Don't send a headshot with something you took with your phone that looks a mess. Don't send that, because they won't put it. And you don't want that out there. You don't want that to be your picture that goes out to all of the people that you want to buy from their audience, right? So make sure you got a good headshot. Now, let's say you don't want to be a guest on somebody's show. Let's say you have a product, you want to run a commercial on their show. I don't know any podcast that's going to turn down money for real. However, you want to pitch the right podcast host with your product. So even if you're trying to pay to have an ad read on their show, which is a great way for you to get your name out there, let the host read an ad for you on their show and say, listen, I need you to, would you be willing to read this ad on your show, or run a ad that's already pre-recorded on their show? Most podcasters will say yes, as long as it's something that fits with their audience. So if you know that you're launching a new spirit, you got some good, Ciroc type thing coming out, and you're releasing that, and you got Pastor JJ over here who has like 1 million listeners to his morning spiritual show, and you pitch him because he has 1 million listeners, right? On to promote your new liquor coming out. He won't do it. So don't pitch him. Don't even waste your time pitching him, because why would the pastor promote liquor on his show? It's not going to happen. So take some time. Go. It's 2.5 million podcasters out there. Yes, it's going to be a little bit daunting, but take some time to find out who could be a perfect podcast for you to advertise on. And that's a good way for you to get your message out there. And you don't have to be a guest. You don't have to worry about fumbling over your words. You don't have to worry about being shy because you're an introvert. What you need to do is send the ad to that host and let them either read your ad themselves, which is probably going to cost you a little bit more money, because host read ads cost a little bit more money, or send a pre-recorded ad that's already pre-recorded. All they have to do is just drop it in. I've done that before. People sent me their ad. All I do is just drop. I've even created ads for people. Just drop it in right dead smack at the beginning of the show, or depending on where you pay for. Now, they may say, Audrey, they may say to you, listen, we run pre-roll ads, and it's going to cost you this amount of money, which means they're going to run your ad right at the beginning of the show. That's a pre-roll ad, right? That's right at the beginning. Or they may say, we're going to run an ad mid-roll. That's right in the middle. Now, I've heard people who cut directly in the middle of the show, and they may say, listen, we got to go pay some bills, so we're going to run this ad. And they'll tell you that's what's going to happen. That's a mid-roll. And then you have post-roll. Most people don't like post-rolls because it's at the very end of the show, and chances are the listener has left the show already by then, so they may not hear that ad. So a lot of people don't like post rolls. However, there are some people, if the content is good and they really love the host, they will listen to the very end. Like, I watch the people that I listen to. I have my whole little library of podcasters that I listen to. I listen to their shows right to the end. So if there's a post roll at the end of the show, 9 times out of 10 I'm going to hear it. So you just got to find out, what kind of show it is. Is it a good fit for your audience? Are you a good fit for the audience? And make sure that once you reach out to the host, let them tell you how much they charge. And then if it's something that's above your budget, negotiate. Say, you know what? I really want to advertise on your show, but this is all my budget can handle right now. Sometimes hosts will say, you know what? I want to work with you. Let me help you. I'll take that. Let's work together. Let's make that happen. Because here's the thing, your ad is only going to be about 30 to 60 seconds. So it's not going to take a whole lot of time on your show, right? And they may say, listen, because your budget is only this, I can't do a pre-roll, but I can do a mid-roll for you. Or I can't do a mid-roll, but I can do a post-roll. Here's the thing, chances are they can roll you out. And then you may want to go back and do a little bit more negotiating. Like, listen, I know that you're going to put it at the end of the show, but do you think you can put the link in your newsletter when you send it out, so now they can hear it, they can hear the commercial, and you can probably be looked at as a sponsor versus an advertiser on the show. So let them create a little sponsorship spot inside of their newsletter for you, and put your ad at the end of the show, but also put it inside their newsletter as a sponsor. So now people will definitely hear what you have to say. All of these things are negotiable, but you got to be creative and think outside of the box, right? Because I have a newsletter, and so people can advertise in my newsletter, provided it fits my audience, right? So I don't like cigarettes. I probably would never run a cigarette ad ever on my show or in my newsletter. I had to do a survey for Spreaker last week, and it asked me, it had all these things, right? And cigarettes was up there. I was like, nope, don't run no cigarette ads on my show, because I don't approve of cigarettes. So I don't like cigarettes. I don't smoke. They cause, cigarette cause people to die in my family. So I'm not an advocate for cigarettes. So don't run a cigarette ad on my show. So that wouldn't be my show. So you just got to make sure your audience fit. And then the last way to leverage is to start your own podcast. Now, here's the thing about that. Some good news, some bad news, some good news, some bad news. You can start your own show, decide which niche you want to go on, what you want to talk about, the whole nine. It's out there. It's out there in the universe for you to start a podcast. Anywhere you type in, how do I start a podcast? A whole bunch of information is going to come up. What I will say is that consistency and great information are going to be the key. If you know that you can't be consistent, if you know that you can't put out great information, don't start a podcast. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but do not start a podcast if you know you can't be consistent. And if you know the information you're going to put out is junk. Just don't start. Don't bother, because you're not going to keep an audience that way. It's not going to happen, right? So think about the podcast and how you want to look when people see you. Is it something you're passionate about? I could talk about business all day long and twice in my sleep because I live in this space every single day. I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years, so I'm in this space all the time. Now, I struggle sometimes when I try to make myself talk about things that I really don't care too much about. I'll struggle. And I guarantee you, the person that's listening to the show can see the struggle because it's not a comfortable topic for me to talk about. But when I'm talking about what I love, now I may know about some things, but I may not love it. It may not be very passionate, right? So if you are thinking about starting your podcast, you need to be consistent and you need to put out great content. Now, if you're saying to yourself, I know I need to start the podcast. I know I need to start the video channel. I know I need to do all these things. I just don't want to. I don't have the time to. Then hire you somebody who can do it for you. Hire somebody who is your podcast person, and that's their job, is to create content for your company. You can hire people to do that. I'm going to work with my daughter right now because I'm not a TikToker for real. Like, I put up a TikTok video. She goes, oh, yeah, we're going to have to work on that. Well, she is. She's a TikTok person. She has like 11,000 followers or something on TikTok. I have like 83, if that many. So that's not my thing, but that's her thing. So I'm going to let her handle my TikTok so I can do the other stuff that I love. So I said all that to say, you may not be the person to be behind the microphone or to be in front of the camera, but you can bring somebody on, give them what you want them to talk about. Now, the problem to that is they need to understand your company, the mission, the vision, and all of that good stuff so that the show can come off authentically. Now, you can go to Fiverr and you can find people and their job is to deliver the news. It may be a news segment just for your company. There are people out there whose job is to deliver news, and they're going to deliver the news like a news segment, which could be very nice for your company because it could just be you talking about milestones in the company, and you hire that person to deliver the news for your company. But here's what that's going to do. That's going to put your company on all of these podcast platforms around the world, giving you the opportunity to increase your reach and your awareness. So you may not want to be on there yourself, but you may have someone in the company that's really good. They know the company, they love the company, they want to get out there in front of the company, they want to be the face of the company. Put them out there. Let them do the thing that they're good at, talking to people, talking about what you guys got going on, talking about milestones and accomplishments. That may be the person. And if you don't have that person in your company because you are a solopreneur, then check out Fiverr. There are some great people on Fiverr. A lot of my audios for my show came off of Fiverr. Like my intros and my outros, I went to Fiverr and I said, hey, listen, this is the outro I need. I paid the person. They did a voiceover for me, came out gorgeous. And you hear them on my shows. Like on all my shows, I've always gone to Fiverr to do my intros and outros. I've never done it myself because I feel like I talk too fast. So I always like guys to do my intros. I don't know why. I did have a young lady do the intro to one of my shows. It was specifically for women, and I felt like it should be a woman's voice that's heard on that show. But the rest of my shows, the intros and outros have all been done by men that I've got off of Fiverr. So go to Fiverr, check it out, see who can help you do the show. Who can help you do the show, or who can help you do whatever you need to do. You can find anything you want, you can find on Fiverr. Anybody you want, you can find on Fiverr. So those are my 3 ways for you to leverage podcasting to help you grow your business. 1, become a guest on someone else's podcast. 2, advertise or sponsor somebody's podcast. 3, start your own podcast or hire someone to do a podcast for your company. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. I could talk about this all day, but I won't. But I hope that was helpful. I hope that you found something that's going to help you move the needle on your business in 2023. Because here's the thing. If nobody knows you have a business, do you really have a business? So you got to get the word out. You got to be diligent about getting the word out to your audience and to create new audiences. So thank you for listening. I'll be back again with another great segment on how to start and grow a business here on the Talk Business with Audrey show. You guys have a wonderful day. And until next time, make it a great day. Bye, everybody.
You've been listening to Talk Business with Audrey. Bringing you another powerful resource to help you start or grow your business so that you can live the boss life. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the show now, share it with your friends, and drop Audrey a note over at www.talkbusinesswithaudrey.biz.